Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Talking Freight, the weekly freight series brought to you by Ceresys, a North American third-party logistics company specializing in transportation technology and services. Today we're going to talk about the current state of the capacity crunch. We touched on this briefly last week in our video on getting your warehouse and distribution center ready for peak holiday seasons. Make sure you check out that video by clicking on the link here above my head. Further, if you've been reading industry articles, there are no shortages of mentions of the forthcoming capacity crunch in 2018. This will surely impact shipping efficiency, but most importantly, costs and availability of capacity. Or, in other words, you may not find a truck for your freight where you need it to go to your customers. And your customer may be upset, and you may lose that customer, which is lost revenue. So to help you, in the next few weeks, we will go over how shippers can thrive in any capacity crunch, but especially we'll focus on this coming capacity crunch for 2018. But first, today, we'll give you the current state of the capacity crunch and talk a little bit about that. Now, if you've been around the industry for a few years, you know the shipping capacity crunch is not a new topic. But the end of 2017 is shaping up to reveal an unprecedented crunch. An active hurricane season, the forthcoming implementation deadline for electronic logging devices, and record-shattering projections for the upcoming holiday shipping season reflect some of the top factors affecting the current state of the shipping capacity crunch. Moreover, according to the Journal of Commerce, the capacity crunch is definitely going to have an impact and mainly was started thanks to a very active hurricane season. So one of the big factors that we want to talk about is that hurricane season. Now, Hurricanes Harvey, Irma, and Maria did much more damage than anyone could have predicted. And in heavily affected areas, there was a great crunch in capacity. As explained further by the Journal of Commerce, past year's data on harsh weather and its impact on U.S. trucking demand and supplies indicate continuous growth within the trucking industry for at least the next year. The damage from the overly active storms damaged both freight containers and trucks, and in Houston, the trucking industry is barely back to life. Fortunately, the end of the hurricane season is past, so we don't have to worry about another major storm. But the impact on the trucking industry will cause a major break beyond the storm season into this coming capacity crunch. A shipping capacity crunch is also going to get worse as we talk about the implementation with an ELD mandate for truckers. If the physical storms sound like a nightmare for the trucking industry, the ELD mandate implementation could also be a major driver in tightening the shipping capacity availability. As explained in our previous videos, drivers have already been pushed to take more breaks than currently required under existing hours of service regulations in preparation for the ELD mandate implementation. However, some trucking sectors may have avoided preparations for the implementation in the hopes of a pushback to its implementation deadline. As it stands today, the ELD mandate is set to take full effect on December 10th, 2017. Specifically, many owner-operators of small trucking enterprises and local drivers are among those most likely to be impacted by the ELD mandate. So, what's another issue we're dealing with that is causing this current capacity crunch? Well, it's a strong projection that manufacturing and its increase in the economy will further tighten this capacity crunch. As the stock market continues to climb, the likelihood of increased manufacturing in the U.S. becomes more of a fact. Meanwhile, manufacturers have already started to ramp up production in advance of the 2017 holiday shopping season, and U.S. factory activity has risen to the highest levels since 2004. In response to the active hurricane season as well, they have had to really ramp things up to recover. Similarly, construction spending is increasing, and overall demand on the existing logistics networks will increase, according to Old Dominion Freight's CEO, David Congdon. Consequently, the annual shipping rate increases may be much more daunting and frequent as the holidays approach. Another factor in this year's capacity crunch, multiple shipping rate hikes are coming. Therefore, it will stretch capacity to the limit. For example, last month, UPS announced plans to raise ground and air rates approximately 4.9% beginning December 24th. And FedEx announced a similar general rate increase to take effect on January 1st. While less than truckload rates have risen steadily since spring, LTL rates may receive yet another increase as holiday shipping gets underway. Meanwhile, JB Hunt Transportation Services has advised clients rates could rise more than 10% within the next 2 months alone. With higher rates comes tighter capacity as more carriers and shippers attempt to consolidate freight and eliminate deadhead. In addition, if the capacity crunch comes to a head, carriers may raise rates again, much more than expected annually or even semi-annual increases. And then, of course, another part of this current capacity shaping out this state of the capacity crunch report is that the driver shortage will still continue to worsen. The driver shortage will play a role in the current shipping capacity crunch as well. As capacity tightens, driver wages will grow inherently. Specifically, driver wages could climb 40% within the next 2 years, explains Iris Kuo of Trucks.com. Therefore, the number of available drivers willing to work for carriers and local logistics providers will decrease, reducing the number of trailers moving and further tightening overall capacity. While increased rates can help carriers make up increasing driver wages, the overall problem will remain. So what's the big picture? Well, UPS is expecting to deliver 715 million plus packages this holiday shopping season. That's an increase of 5% from last year. Now, consider how the ELD mandate will impact this record-breaking surge in demand 2 weeks prior to Christmas. Shipping capacity crunch is a powder can, and any of the aforementioned driving forces could set to a match and cause a catastrophic cascade across the industry. But if woes and challenges of past year's capacity crunch teach us anything, it is understanding its causes and is key to preparation. To successfully mitigate the potential setbacks from shipping capacity crunch, your organization must understand more about its current and projected driving forces. Well, that's it for this week's episode of Talking Freight. We hope you're able to get ready for this capacity crunch, and don't worry, we're going to make sure you're set up to survive and thrive in this capacity crunch and any capacity crunch moving forward. So we hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Make sure you don't miss a single episode by hitting that subscribe button. Hey, and hit that bell so you also get an email every time we publish an episode of Talking Freight every Friday. And we know you like social media, so make sure you follow us here on any of these platforms so you get every single one of our great blog posts and the industry news that we help curate specifically for you. So that's it. We hope you enjoyed it. Have a great weekend.